Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Play, Pause, Rewind, our 116th episode. Sorry we're a week late. Life happens. Niles, how have you been
hmm
the last handful of weeks since we recorded?
Personally, I've been good. I've been trying not to pay attention to the hellfire that is the world right now, but there's lots of positivity in my life, and I'm just trying to focus on that. The family's grown a little bit since we last recorded. I have a new niece and nephew. So happy about
Woo!
that. I can't believe I'm finally an uncle. It's a weird feeling. Um, but it's nice to just think about that like, well, all this horrible stuff is going on in the world. There's still babies being born, there's still litters of puppies and kittens coming into this world, there's new
Mm-hmm.
life, there's cute things, there's things that are just learning and opening their eyes for the first time. So I like to keep that in the back of my mind and focus on that positive when I can. How about you, Dylan? How are you?
Yeah, you know, it is what it. It
Yeah.
is what it is. It's things are crazy. Our country is on fire. But I'm gonna focus on a good news story. I think
Yeah.
amidst our country descending into fascism, which is happening. That's not the good thing. That's the bad thing. Um, as of today. In the United Nations, I believe 157 of the member countries have voted to recognize Palestine as a state officially.
Yeah.
Um, of course, the United States is not. We are one of the 37 who are not doing that and condemn the action. It's a symbolic gesture. The conditions for that statehood are absurd, but
hmm
just imagining something like this even being in serious discussion even 2 years ago was like unthinkable. So it
yeah.
is remarkable to see like the tide shifting. Obviously, the human cost to get to this point has been monumental and unacceptable.
hmm
Uh, but also in Italy, there was a general strike today. A union coalition went on strike, basically with the intention of shutting off trade to Israel, basically, like cutting off the European
Wow.
Union from trading with the nation of Israel to stop the genocide and end the apartheid. And we also have the Freedom Flotilla heading out there, like 50 plus boats of civilians and activists, all like very much putting their lives on the line. So it's like we are experiencing a lot of darkness and scary stuff in the world right now, but we're also seeing like the best of humanity rallying and trying to do the right thing. So that gives
hmm
me hope. Um,
Yeah.
and yeah, it's nice to see people stand up for what's right every once in a while.
Yeah. It's a rarity sometimes, but it's nice, and yeah, you got to focus on the positives where you can. And unfortunately,
Mm-hmm.
the story we're about to get into today is not very positive, but it's a fun one. Uh, we're talking about the Long Walk today. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
the 2025 adaptation. It's an American dystopian survival thriller film based on Stephen King's novel of the same name.
Mm-hmm.
And in this film, America has become a police state.
Oh, just in the film.
yeah. For yes, just in the film right now. We're just gonna focus on the film. It's a police state, and the country, our country. I think it's set in the 1970s, something like that. 19, yeah. But we host this annual, grueling, high stakes, televised competition in which 50 teenagers are forced to continuously walk along a long country road, a long country highway, or face death.
Mm-hmm.
It's directed by Francis Lawrence and written by J.T. Molnar and Stephen King. And it stars Cooper Hoffman, David Jonsson, Garrett Waring, and Mark Hamill, and many other talented young actors in this movie. Dylan, what are some of your initial thoughts on this long walk?
Yeah, so it's I thought this was great. It's exceedingly bleak, but it has a lot of heart. I think too, while it's sort of scant on the specific details, this feels like a pretty grounded and believable dystopia. Um
Mm-hmm.
was written by Stephen King under his pen name, actually, Richard Bachman, in 1979. It's actually one of two King Bachman books being adapted this year. The second one is The Running Man, coming out in November, which is, of course, a remake of the Schwarzenegger movie. But yeah, it's interesting. You said it's directed by Francis Lawrence, who he did the Hunger Games movies, and
Right.
I thought that was interesting because like the setup does sort of remind me of the Hunger Games in a way, but more as like this is an endurance competition rather than, you know, a combat arena, of course. But yeah, pretty simple premise, I'd say, but it really mines that premise for a lot of emotional depth with strong writing and really well rounded, great performances. Like despite the entire movie just being a group of people walking along a road, like it's tense and engaging the entire way through. What about you? What are some of your non-spoiler thoughts on The Long Walk?
Agreed. I mean, yeah, I haven't read the book, but I want to now after watching this movie because I want to see how different it is. Because I know that they changed some things, but I'm intrigued to read it and see what's different in it. But I was very intrigued by this movie from start to finish. Like you said, it's got a very simple premise, but it's very powerful. You know, especially considering our modern political climate in the U.S. here and the fact that we have literal Nazis and fascists, kind of, you know, coming into the government and changing a lot of things right now. It's this feels like an incredibly important movie for the time, and I know I say that a lot on this podcast, but I think this movie is incredibly relevant for the time, for the climate that we're living through, all the things that are going on, and it's something that everybody, I believe, should watch, especially those people who are on board with the fascism train. You know, we should probably see where we might go from here because this is a very potent dystopian tale that really it feels like a stark warning of what could come in an authoritarian society. Not saying that that's going to happen, but you know, this is like shit like this could happen in a police state. I totally see where it could come from. You know, it's concerning, but you know, it's an incredibly powerful story, and we have some really outstanding performances across the board here. I mean, Cooper Hoffman. I didn't even realize until you pointed out after the film that it's Philip Seymour Hoffman's kin, and that was like, wow, fantastic. It's in the bloodline. He's ready to go. And you know, David Jonsson's spectacular in this as well, and like I said, so many other young talented male actors in this film who are just giving it their all and really bringing a lot of authenticity to these roles. Everyone feels very authentic and real, and yeah, like you said, it's just a story where you're walking along a road for the entire film. But it's really tense, it's really engaging, and if you're looking for a movie that will make you feel something, like something that will resonate with you, I guarantee you'll be on the verge of tears at some point in this movie. For me, it was like right past the halfway marker where they're going through the town and one of the characters reconnects with their mom, and I was about to cry in the movie theater right there.
Yeah, it's packed full of emotions, and I think you're right. It is a very timely movie, and I know you like made fun of yourself for saying you say that a lot, but it's like that's part of the point of art. Like it reflects the time in which it's made. It makes commentary on the times we are in, and we are in a time period where our government is being overtaken by a fascist coup. It's very interesting that apparently it's political violence to call the people in charge fascists and Nazis, but the actual violence that they do on a daily basis is not. They're peaceful doves. They just disagree, you know. They just disagree. They never specify about what. About what do we get? But so that's fun. But it is important to recognize, like, fascism is a self-defeating thing because it has to. We talked about this on the show before, but it has to have an enemy, and eventually, one day, that enemy will be you. No matter who you are, because there has to be someone to blame, and there's a
Mm-hmm.
list, and somewhere on that list is you, no matter who you are.
Yep,
It will come for you too. Um,
it will.
but
Yes.
yeah, but this
It's
film, I'd hugely recommend it to, I think, anybody. Just be prepared. It's pretty bleak.
yeah, yeah, it's brutal in every way. It's emotionally devastating. Like it's like one gut punch after another. Like once you start
Hmm.
getting into it and it's like, oh, the first kid falls and gets shot in the head and you're like, oh, so that's the tone for this movie. It's just going to be one
Hmm.
gut punch after another. And this movie really is about the journey. It's not about the destination, and it's about these characters, their emotional dynamics, their character dynamics. I think it's all very
Hmm.
powerful. And whether there are characters in this movie you dislike or not, I know that you'll feel something when each one of them takes a knee or gets shot.
Hmm.
It's brutal.
Yep. Want to get into spoilers?
Yeah, let's jump on in to the spoiler
All right.
discussion where we can talk about who died and
Yeah.
stuff. But you know,
Yeah. Well, let's
um,
talk about the long walk itself. What is it, Niles?
yeah. Well, I mean, I think we've already talked about exactly what it is.
Hmm.
Literally, it is this long walk. These 50 young men volunteer, quote unquote. We'll talk about that later, but they volunteer for this long walk in the hopes
Hmm.
of getting like a big cash reward and a wish. This one wish, and there's some
Yeah.
logistics around that wish, but that's the whole premise behind it. But like the long walk in and of itself, I think when you don't think of it so literally, there's a lot going on here.
Hmm.
The long walk for these young men in particular, it's an opportunity to elevate themselves out of
Right.
poverty, because
Hmm.
this is a dystopia America. They're walking through like all this countryside, these long country roads, and you're seeing kind of like these dust bowl images, like these
Hmm.
America's fallen so far. All these families are so poor. You see that all these young men volunteered for the long walk, knowing full well what the risks were. They have hopes and dreams and aspirations. They have an idea
Hmm.
of what they want to be, where they want to go, what they would do with the wish, what they would do with the money. They're just desperate
Yeah.
to find some way to escape the poverty that they live through on a daily basis, to elevate their own family if possible,
Hmm.
and everyone they know is poor or in kind of similar circumstances. It's like this is an opportunity for social mobility for them,
Right.
to a certain extent. um, but it's also this annual ceremonial marathon that's
Hmm.
kind of like kind of more in the Hunger Games aspect, where it's like it's a way to distract the masses, to give them someone to root for a time, or something kind of distract
Uh
them
huh.
from like how shitty their life is or shit like that. So it's like, because
Yeah.
it's televised, similar to the Hunger Games is, and you know. I know that this book was written before the Hunger Games, so I feel like this inspired part of the Hunger Games, I would imagine.
Or
Um,
inspired battle
but
royale, maybe, which
yeah,
is the
yeah,
inspiration for the Hunger Games. I don't know.
you're right. You're right there. Yeah, I forgot about Battle Royale, which is also that's a great movie. That's a fun one. But yeah, these people, you know, they come out. You see them. They come to the side of the road to watch the people pass by. They
Hmm.
see themselves in these people, and they're watching it on their TVs at home if they own a TV, I suppose. And it's a depressing way to distract people, but I guess it works in this society.
Yeah. And unlike the Hunger Games, though, this event in universe is at least presented as a volunteer event. We'll touch on that,
Yes.
like you said, later. But in the Hunger Games, it is fully like all the kids' names are forcibly put in to the bucket, and they're drawn like a raffle, which is essentially what happens here as well. But another contrast from the Hunger Games, and maybe that's just because of the audiences we focus on in that series, but we see a
Mm-hmm.
lot of the games from the perspective of characters in the Capitol in those
Mm-hmm.
movies and books, right? And so it feels more like an audience watching a TV show and getting invested in their characters, their real life characters that they want to, see succeed. Whereas in this,
Mm-hmm.
it's like everyone we see watching is more just resigned. to it.
Mm-hmm.
That no one seems excited or gleeful about it, really, except for those like two kids who bike up. They're like interested in what's going on, and then one of our main characters is like, "Get out of here! Like, you don't go. This is not good. You don't want to see
Yeah.
this." It's
Mm-hmm.
presented in a much more grounded way, I would say.
Yeah. Well, you're so right about that too. And when you think about the Hunger Games too, I'm glad you brought up like the capital perspectives,
Mm-hmm.
like all the district perspectives too, because it's like we don't get any of that in this movie. Like this whole movie is just the boys on the road, and
Yep.
that's it. So we have no idea how anyone's perceiving it. But I think that you're right that it's not like a celebration or something that people look forward to. It's just kind of like,
Mm-hmm.
yes, the walk again. Like this happens every year, and this is really sad. But maybe I
Mm-hmm.
can find some connection with one of these people on screen. But yeah, I don't think it's like something that people necessarily take pride in or
Right.
enjoy watching. Like, how could you? It's so
Yeah.
fucked. Uh,
Yeah.
well, and the long walk too. I think it is a way to keep the lower class complacent. It's
Mm-hmm.
like to an extent, it does inspire some hope, I would assume. They talked about it in the movie where they're like, there's always an increase in productivity right after the long walk, and it contributes to
Mm-hmm.
our GDP. And it's like, that's great. Um, but it's also not great because it keeps everyone just kind of like, yes, you have to stay lower class forever. You have to be poor forever, but root for these people and just accept your place in society.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it could be commenting on like the nature of the American poverty draft as well. Like you touched on the idea of social mobility. Like for a lot of um, working class like young people, the military seems like, I mean, the military in real life, in this universe, but like the military is a potential pathway to economic prosperity. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's a jobs program in a lot of ways, and that's why it's called the poverty draft. It's like no one's forcing those people to do it, but the circumstances are so dire that they don't necessarily see another way out of those poverty stricken conditions.
Yeah, exactly. And I think like I didn't write this down in the show notes, but
Mm-hmm.
I think of the log walk in a way as like lottery in a way. Everyone buys a lottery ticket on a weekly
Right.
basis, but your odds
Mm-hmm.
of winning are astronomical. It's never going to happen that you're going to win the
Mm-hmm.
Powerball. It could, but it's probably not going to happen. And like it's kind of
Yeah.
the same thing with this long walk, because it's like, yeah, you might get into the long walk, you might survive, and you might win this exorbitant amount of money, but at a certain point it's like, yeah, was it's all fucked anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And uh, and it is a fucked up way to keep people in line, to kind of strengthen the police state's like pincher
Mm-hmm.
hold on
Right.
the masses, on the lower class, and keep everyone kind of in line, in check. um, when I was doing research on this too, like I was also just kind of curious, what did other people think about it, and what have how have people historically kind of interpreted it.
Mm-hmm.
And like when the book first came out, some critics viewed it as like an allegory for the Vietnam
Mm-hmm.
War, and all the senseless deaths that came along with it. And I totally see
Mm-hmm.
that. I can see where they're coming from. That I think I saw that Stephen King like said, yeah, that's not exactly what I had in mind, but you can interpret it however you want. I'm like, that's great.
Right.
That's really nice. But I think you could
Well, and
also,
it was written in that era too, like
yeah.
1979, and it like whether he intended it or not, like that, politics and real life bleeds into your art. What you're
Mm-hmm.
seeing influences it. So,
Yeah, whether you realize it or not. But I think you could apply it as, you could think of it as an allegory for kind of any war. Like I think
mm-hmm.
of the Iraq War here in America, and it's like, how many people did we send over there to their deaths? It's like, it's, I'll just say I'm anti-war. That's how I
Yeah,
feel.
yeah, and war too. Like it's like it can be. It used to be like in something like World War II, like it can provide a boom to the economy when there's not a standing military apparatus, when you need to like manufacture the tanks and the guns and the uniforms and all that stuff. Like you employ people when you do that.
Mm-hmm.
But in a country like ours where we have a standing military thing, that exists, it like going to war is expensive. It's a drain on the economy, and it will, in the long run, make your country more destitute, which is
Mm-hmm.
something we see in America right now. We spend billions of dollars a year on war and weapons and shit like that, and it's like I think it was Eisenhower who said something along the lines of like every dollar we spend on bombs is something we're not spending on roads and schools and healthcare
Yeah.
and stuff like that. It's like we're
Mm-hmm.
not investing in ourselves if we're spending money on violence.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you're just spending more money to kill other people and
Mm-hmm.
plunder their resources, I suppose.
Yes.
But and I think if you approach the long walk very literally, we've
Mm-hmm.
been mentioning it time and again here already, but the long walk is about authoritarian rule and
Yeah.
the grim realities of a police state.
Mm-hmm.
And boy, are they grim! Oh, oh boy, I never want any of this for my kids or my life, obviously.
Yeah. But yeah, we got characters too. Like every character in the walk, like they have enough time to shine and sort of
Yes.
show their unique side. Casting is great. Want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, yeah. For a very like the movie's like an hour and a half. It's pretty short runtime, all things
Mm-hmm.
considered. But yeah, like every character that we meet on the road, who joins the road, is uh, very unique, very well cast, and we get to spend like enough time with each one of them to get us
Mm-hmm.
to sympathize with them and understand their perspectives like just before they get shot. Like we get to meet some very young kids like in the first scene, and he's just like, oh
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I'm like right out of high school or whatever, and like I'm here for my mom. He's like super skinny, he's just like all muscle, and he's like one of the first ones to go because he like twisted
Yep.
his ankle, and it's just like it's so sad when that
Mm-hmm.
happens. Or like the writer kid, or the guy who's like, I'm gonna write a book from the insider perspective of someone on the long walk, and it's gonna be a bestseller. And it's like, dude, you're not gonna make it, but that's
Yeah.
that's a really ambitious story, and I applaud you for it if you can do it. But oh boy, does he doesn't have a happy ending either. But like all these
Mm-hmm.
characters, you get to know them. Even like uh Brockovich, I think his name is. I can't remember.
The
But
bully
kind of
one.
like, yeah, kind of the bully one who's like kind of
Mm-hmm.
bullied that one kid into like basically dying.
Yeah. Yeah, it does a great job of establishing the like full group dynamic very quickly. And I actually haven't read anything of Stephen King's books, I think, but in the adaptations I've seen, there are often these really well written like group dynamics between the young characters. It seems like he is really good at doing that and doing so efficiently here. You're right. The characters who die, we kind of get like a couple moments with them before it's their time, so we feel bad when they die. But then you also have, I'd say, the main like 5 or 6 people who
Mm-hmm.
that eventually they're toast, but you don't know who it's going to be and in what order necessarily, because
Mm-hmm.
they're just like they're being developed as a friend group, and their clock is ticking basically at the same time.
Yeah, yeah, and like yeah, I just put two and two together in my head because I was trying to grasp like what does this movie remind me of, and it's like it's Stand by Me,
Mm-hmm.
which is also a Stephen King book, I believe.
Yeah.
And but yeah, because that whole story is just like about these kids walking on a road to get to like
Mm-hmm.
this destination together, and the destination is really shitty. Like they find a dead body there and stuff, but it's like these kids they form this very like close knit relate group
Yeah.
dynamic, and it's very powerful, and it's
Mm-hmm.
even better here.
Yeah.
Um,
It has that as well, not road based
True.
necessarily, but
He he's good at that. He's good at writing
mm-hmm.
the dynamics of young kids. How about that?
Uh-huh. Yeah. But yeah, we have our main villain as well, Mark Hamill. Luke
Yeah.
Skywalker himself plays the Major, and
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, he's the guy who's like barking the orders. He's laying down the law, and he's like, "This is how it goes. These are the rules, and you
Mm-hmm.
guys gotta keep pace." And I think he does a good job in this role. That's what I'll say. He does a great
Uh-huh.
job barking these orders of the contestants. It feels a little cartoonish, but that's okay. I just think personally this role is maybe a little miscast from, in my opinion, just because I think
Okay.
Mark Hamill is kind of just everyone knows who he is. right, he's a big name in pop culture. He's Luke Skywalker. So anytime I see him in anything, it's like that's Luke Skywalker. I know him. Like it just kind of pulls me out of it for a minute. But he did a good job. He did a good job in the role, and it's pretty minor, all things considered, too.
Yeah, like I see what you're saying. It didn't bother me as much, and I think he works just fine here. He's kind of I saw someone say he's doing like a Michael Ironside thing, which I think is true. He's like a sort of over the top military guy. But you're right, he's not in it a ton. He exists more as this sort of like foreboding force looming over the main characters. Like he's always there, but he's never really focused on all that much. He's just kind of like the head of this dragon surrounding them and sort of oppressing them the entire film.
Yeah, and it is unclear like how far up in the line he is, like in the structure within like this police state, because like in my opinion, it's like he's just like the guy who's in charge of the long walk. Like that's just kind of how I perceived it at the start, but then over time, like we get that flashback, and it's like of Rey's parents and Rey and the Major killing Rey's father. It's like,
right,
okay, maybe he's actually a little bit more influential than I thought. So it's a little unclear, you know?
Yeah. Well, and that flashback too, we don't have notes about it, but it's interesting because his dad is trying to teach him about like the old world and like books and stuff like that. And I guess that's been forbidden in the current iteration of America, which is very interesting as well. Whatever happened in the war that they got kind of fucked up in led them to be like a more culturally repressive society as well, like where they're banning books and art and stuff like that.
Yeah, and it seems like they're not very progressive because there's only one female in the entire movie. It's just the mother character. Which was kind of like, as I exited the movie, I was like, man, I would have liked to see just like some more like females in this movie, but like, I think it could have
like the walk didn't have to be just. It didn't have to just be men, I suppose, on the walk.
Exactly.
Like it could have been. Yeah, I don't know.
But yeah, fine. Like I think it's fine at the end of the day, and like I think then it could have like kind of distracted from like the core message of the film, because then it's like, oh well, then it's about like people could I could just anticipate people complaining about it. Being like, that's they took the long walk and made it woke. You know?
They made it woke. They put a woman in it. Oh god, isn't it so aggravating that that's fucking everything now? They're complaining about every element. Oh god, it's so annoying.
It's woke, and that word has lost all meaning at this point.
Oh my god, it's so funny tangent. You remember the bald guy who yelled about pronouns in the Starfield game a couple years ago? The like whatever, it's some right wing guy. It's a very funny video. He has like a 6-minute meltdown about fucking pronouns in the but what it doesn't fucking matter. But he strikes again this week, and because Peacemaker, there's a character in it, and the one of the like Argus agents, they say she's a cyborg, and I guess this guy didn't know that the word cyborg is just like a word for characters who are, you know, part machine and part human. And his interpretation was that this woman is the DCU's version of Cyborg, like Victor Stone from the Teen Titans.
Okay.
And he got really upset about it.
Okay. Wow, that's quite the stretch, dude.
He's gotta, you know, rent his due, man. He's gotta get those outrage clicks. Gotta get that content out. Yeah, gotta keep the broom budget for the basement going. You know, mom's not gonna pay for everything.
Yeah, he's not a trust fund baby yet.
No.
But anyway, in the long walk, the heart and soul of this movie, I think, is the bond between our two main characters, which is Ray and McFreeze.
Mm-hmm.
Um, uh, they just have this budding relationship. They meet at the start of the film, complete strangers, and they just like hit it off super quick. It's the soul of the film, and like even though the whole
Mm-hmm.
competition is just every man for himself, you like whoever gets to the like lasts the longest wins. You know, you have to let all of your
Yeah.
friends die along the way. These two guys, Hoffman and Jonsson, they develop this blossoming friendship. They and help each
Mm-hmm.
other out along the way. Like sometimes they're about to stumble, and they help each other and just make sure they keep walking, they keep
Yeah.
going, and it's a fantastic dynamic between the two of them.
Yeah, and, like even at one point, Ray falls asleep and he's like, he's still walking, which is crazy. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
McFreeze sort of like keeps him propped upright and keeps him moving. Oh, one thing we didn't talk about too, they have to maintain 3 miles an hour at all times, or that's when
Right,
they,
right.
get taken out. They get their warnings after that point and then get shot. But yeah, I totally agree with you. Like them and their fellow musketeers, that's what they call themselves, right? Like a great
Mm-hmm.
little group dynamic. It's really well developed and it's a believable bond. I think that's something this movie nails about human nature is like even when we're forced into these horrifying, violent and sort of winner take all situations, like it might not seem that way all the time because people are so cruel to each other and the systems we live under are so cruel, but like it's
Mm-hmm.
human nature to form connection and look out for each other, and a lot of this movie is that, and it's made even more tragic because we understand that only one of them is going to make it out, but we're watching
Mm-hmm.
them become closer as they reach this inevitable end of their friendship. And I guess that's all of us though, right? In a way, like this is more violent and authoritarian, but life overall is just kind of a long walk, and
Mm-hmm.
eventually you or someone will be the last person going from your like circle, like we
Mm-hmm.
all live and then eventually we start not being around anymore.
Yeah, it happens. It's inevitable for all of us,
Mm-hmm.
and it's the tough truth of it. And what's really tragic is that yeah, all these guys are just they claim to have volunteered for it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, John, Ray, McVrees, and every one of the Musketeers, they all volunteered for this. But
Mm-hmm.
is it really volunteering? You know, like
Yeah.
is this really a volunteer walk? Like it's a realization
Yeah.
that they have early, but yeah.
Right. Yeah, I think it's a smart realization. I think it's Ray who brings it up, but it's like everyone signs up. It's sort
Mm-hmm.
of expected that you do it. And if everybody does it, then is it really volunteering anymore? Going back to what we were talking about, like the difference between the Hunger Games, we said it's presented as a volunteer opportunity to join the raffle, but it's like, well, what would happen to you, like either by the hand of the government or just socially,
Mm.
if you didn't sign up? Like I think that's an interesting, like it's a sort of implicit thing that's like you will engage with this thing, and it might be you. But the
Yeah, you're
yeah.
right. Well, I didn't even think about it that way too, because I was thinking mainly like they're volunteering because like America, everyone's poor. Like
Mm-hmm.
the economy is in the toilet, and you need you need something to pull you
Mm-hmm.
up out of poverty. Like
Right.
nothing's gonna do that except for this long walk. Everyone's volunteering for this because there's no other opportunity. But you're
Mm-hmm.
right that like because the only other opportunity is joining the military, joining the police, or just like continuing to like just toil away in your own life. But you're right
Mm-hmm.
that it's like yeah, if you didn't volunteer for this, like if you didn't put your name into the proverbial hat, like is the police state going to be okay with that? Are they going to
Mm-hmm.
force you to do it? Like it's volunteer, but is
Mm-hmm.
it really like there's consequences I imagine, but they didn't really touch on those too much.
Yeah. And the walk itself, one thing I found so like darkly compelling about it when watching is just it forces the boys to end up dehumanizing each other. Like the flip side of what we were just talking about with the bond, it's like in order to not get killed, just you can't stay with your friends. Like you can't be there for them in their final moments, right? Like you have to quite literally look the other way. You,
Mm-hmm.
it's I think it's this and also the major's comment about how the walk always results in an increase in GDP. I thought that was so interesting and sort of touches on the cruel and cold nature of capitalism, and given
Yes.
the fact that this is a military escort with the boys, like the nature of the American military industrial complex, right? Like it's very much a survival of the fittest competition, which is how a lot of wealthy business people and conservative punditry view the economy and the results of that economic structure, especially in the like entrepreneur hustle space. It's like, you got to grind because everybody's competing and you got to beat them, like your
Yeah.
Gary V's and shit like that. Like
Mm-hmm.
and then with like regard to the military side of things, like the weapons industry is a massive export for the
Mm-hmm.
United States. It accounts in 2023, it accounted for 3.4% of our country's GDP. And the
Wow.
political and business forces that have set that system up, they enable it by looking the other way at the violence dished out as a result, like the genocide in Gaza, for example. Like those
Mm-hmm.
weapons that are being used on mostly children there, those are American weapons. Those are ours.
Yeah.
um,
That's really
and
terrible.
it is. But it like back to the narrative specifically, it just makes this like really cruel challenge even more cruel as the characters are like all forced to die alone while their new friends
Mm-hmm.
soldier on to last a little longer.
Yeah. That's heart wrenching to even think of being like in that position too, of like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, you twisted your ankle, you can't go anymore, like, but you want to keep going, you have to keep going, but you
Mm-hmm.
can't. Or like, yeah, something else happens, like you lose your shoes or whatever, like,
Right.
or you just run out and you fall asleep and you fall over because you haven't slept in days, like it's,
Or
it's
you have
it's
to take a
cruel.
shit.
Yeah. Oh my god, that was one logistical detail that was disgusting. Oh my god. But
Yeah.
it was good.
But it's so realistic. It's like eventually you're gonna have to go. It's a kind of a
Mm-hmm.
physically inconvenient thing to do when you're walking.
Yeah, you can't stop for anything, and it's brutal. But you're totally right. A walk has forces you to dehumanize each other and to like start thinking of each other not as like
Mm-hmm.
friends or humans or people who have loved ones. You have to keep going for your own survival, and it's like survival of the fittest at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
But it's, I don't know, the term fittest is kind of loose there. It's like
Yeah. Yeah.
survival of the luckiest.
Right. Yeah, because it is a lot of circumstance, and but what I found so interesting too about the social, going back to the social dynamics a little bit, like
Yeah.
Brockovich, the bully kid who he didn't mean to, but he got the kid killed, right? um
Mm-hmm.
I think it was really interesting to watch as a friend group developed that didn't include him. It
Yeah.
became really important to him later on for them to like acknowledge that he didn't kill the guy. He wanted to be accepted by the last like social organization he would be a part of, basically.
Yeah.
He sought out that like final human connection as best he could and was capable of. I thought that was really interesting to see happen, and how the other characters are kind of like, okay, man, yeah, sure, that's fine. It's like we can give you this like small little piece of mind, I suppose.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, he was like, yeah, even that I sympathize with him at the end, like when
Mm-hmm.
decided to take his own life.
Yeah.
That was brutal too. Where it's just like
Mm-hmm.
because I feel like he knew that like they were kind of pitying him and not like fully accepting him. They were just kind of
Right.
saying yes, so he would stop talking to them. But he was like, no, I gotta atone in my own way, and
Mm-hmm.
he takes that way out, and that's very sad.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Well, and then you have the other guy, the other like blonde dude he's the major's son, and he eventually, when it's
yeah,
like just the three of them left, he's like, I'm out. I'm just gonna stay here, and y'all
mm-hmm.
go on ahead. But I like that leads us into, I just like, I appreciate that it doesn't pull its punches or cop out by the end by letting more than one person survive. It's pretty
Mm-hmm.
straightforward in its presentation, uh, and forces our main characters to make some really tough decisions towards the end of the movie. Like, by the end of the movie, I felt like both Ray and McFreeze would make the sacrifices they make for each other, and the movie makes us watch them follow through, right? Like, to compare to the Hunger Games, and to be clear, I think this works in the Hunger Games for the story that's
Yes.
being told there. But like Katniss and Peeta are able to sort of game the system and both survive the games at the end because they recognize they become like popular with the audience, and they can emotionally manipulate them and say like, okay, well, we'll both die, and then you get nobody. And they're recognized,
Mm-hmm.
they're like breaking the propaganda that way. It works there, but I think that something like that would have felt tonally out of place here. What do you think?
I agree. I don't think it was the right time to do that because this is such a brutal film, and like
Mm-hmm.
if you really wanted to stick the landing, it can't be like a happy ending where our two main characters get a walk off into the sunset together. It's like no, there
Mm-hmm.
needs to be significant loss by the end of this movie, and there is significant loss
Mm-hmm.
for everybody who's involved. Like all these people died on this long walk, and all those families, all those mothers now are, you know, childless, and it's leaves this big hole in a lot of lives. And
Mm-hmm.
I, yeah, I agree with you. It would have been totally inconsistent with the rest of the movie.
Yeah. And I think too, I appreciate the ambiguity of the ending. Like the way it
Yes.
plays out, Ray says early on that his wish, if he wins, would be for a gun, and he's going to kill the major because the major killed his dad. McFreeze says he wants to like make a home for people who have had like hardships like him or something like that, basically to like elevate people in his circumstance out of that situation.
Yeah.
Um, and at the end, McFreeze is gonna kind of like just stay back. He's done. He's gonna let Ray win, and then Ray tricks him and sort of sacrifices himself. But then McFreeze carries out Ray's wish and shoots the major. I love how open ended this is because we don't know what the long term outcome of this decision will be. Because on the one hand, McFreeze probably just threw away the future he had in mind for himself because he killed maybe one of the main people in the government. We don't really know. And he won't be able to like prevent other people from suffering the way he did. But on the other
Mm-hmm.
hand, maybe killing the major accomplishes the larger systemic change and actually makes it so they can end the long walk for good, something that is not allowed within the scope of like their wishes, and we just
Yeah.
we just don't know enough about the broader society to know for sure, like, was the major the head of the snake? Like, is killing him actually enough to topple this authoritarian regime, or will there be like 100 more majors to swoop in and perpetuate the system? It's just,
Mm-hmm.
we just don't know, and we are not given the satisfaction of that catharsis.
Yeah. No, it is a great ending because it has like a definitive moment, but then like there's a lot left open for interpretation. And I could
Mm-hmm.
have sworn, maybe I'm wrong, but I thought that McVree's wish, if he won the long walk, originally was going to be to have like to change the rules, so it would be like he would have two winners instead of one. Maybe that was someone else, or I'm misremembering, but
Maybe I'm
I
looking it
could have
up.
sworn that was his. But he did want to create some kind of systemic change
Mm-hmm.
with his wish. If that was his wish,
Yeah.
I think that adds another layer to this
Hmm.
ending here. Um,
I think you might be
because
right, actually, but someone
the,
said something about helping people who were like him. I thought it was McFree.
someone
Maybe he
definitely did
said
say
both
that.
things. Or maybe he changed his
Yeah,
wish. I don't remember.
I don't remember either. But like, if that was his wish, and I think it was, he's lost his best friend from this life
Hmm.
changing traumatic competition. This person that he bonded with so
Yep.
significantly, and it's like you can't have two winners here at the end, like they did in the Hunger
Hmm.
Games. You just can't. And he honors his friend by carrying out his wish. So in a way, he might have just thrown away his life by doing that act. He might have just got shot there at the end. Who knows? Or he might have created lasting change for American society. It's tough to know. But like, I think what does help open up that ambiguity too is that at the end, after he kills the major, and he
Hmm.
kind of turns to walk away, the crowd is just entirely gone. Like there's
Yeah.
no soldiers, there's nobody. It is just his silhouette in the rain, and he just turns to walk. And it's like, I think you can interpret that in one of two ways. You could interpret it as a serendipitous moment for McFreeze, where he's kind of got this tunnel
Hmm.
vision, and it's like this big moment in his life, and he's like, I did it, I accomplished it, and I can turn and I can just go on with my life now. Or you could interpret it as he just got shot and he's dead now too. You know,
Yeah.
but
And I mean, but going off of that too, like maybe if this is a competition that keeps people complacent, and I guess going back to the Hunger Games, like if Katniss and Peeta had both killed each other, like themselves at the end, that would have broken the system of the game. So maybe this is a similar thing where maybe McFreeze does get shot after he shoots the major, but seeing this horrifying competition happen with no winner, maybe
mm-hmm,
that is enough to break people out of this like complacent psychosis that they're in where they allow this to happen, and there's some sort of uprising that can topple the
mm-hmm.
regime there. um
Yeah, that's
so who
it.
knows.
Could be many things. And what's interesting too, I haven't read the book. I just was doing research, but apparently
Hmm.
at the end in the book, Garrity is the one who wins Ray, and McVreeze is the one who takes the knee. Um, and so, but in the movie, it's a flip flop. You know, Ray's the one who takes the knee, and
Hmm.
McVreeze wins the game. And it's like I think that's just a interesting flip flop. I don't know how much that changes the story,
Right.
but
Well, and it's interesting too because I read that as well, but I read the the tragic part of the ending beyond the whole thing is that apparently Garrity also, he just ends up ignoring the major, and he's like so traumatized by the walk that he's hallucinating like a dark figure in front of him, so he thinks he has to keep going, and he just continues walking.
ugh, that's so bleak. So bleak.
Yeah, but yeah, any final thoughts on the long walk?
I would definitely recommend it
Mm-hmm.
to just about anybody. I feel like I was reading some things that were saying like, it's hasn't performed too well at the box office, which is kind of understandable considering how depressing and bleak real life is. So why would
Mm-hmm.
you go watch a movie that's just as depressing and bleak? But I would like to see people go check out this movie because I think it has a lot to say, and you can
Mm-hmm.
pull a lot of interesting insights and lessons away from it.
Yeah. Yeah. Fortunately, it looks like it's so far made its budget back at least.
Okay,
So,
then
I
I'll eat my
that's
words.
yeah. Well, I mean that's not great. It's a few weeks out at this point, but
True, yeah, and I guess you got marketing too. So
yeah,
never mind.
yeah. But yeah. But I agree with you. I'd recommend this. I think I think there is also a level of catharsis when times are dark to see bleak stories like this that reflect maybe how you feel in the current time. It can give you like strength to keep going, I suppose. But beyond that, it's a really compelling story. There's a lot of heart. The performances are great. Um Obviously like yeah, everybody's great in it. But
It's really
yeah,
powerful.
it's really powerful. Easy recommend from me. But with that, let's transition into some other stuff. Talk about what else we've been watching. reading, whatever. Niles, what have you been up to recently?
So not a ton, but been watching a few things. I'm continuing on with Alien Earth.
Mm-hmm.
Really liking it. This is really cool. I'm liking this series a lot, and I wish there was more Alien, but at the same time, I'm like, I'm pretty satisfied with all the other creatures and all the other
Mm-hmm.
shitty people that are in this
That
series.
fucking eyeball thing, man. It's
Ugh,
crazy.
ugh, ugh. That thing's, ugh, yeah.
Yeah.
And then all the
Are
other
you
little
caught up?
bugs.
Are you caught up?
Yes, I
Okay.
am.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, the little ticks. They're nasty.
ugh, that's disgusting. Oh my god. Ugh.
Yeah. I haven't obviously I think there's one episode left, but I predicted this very early on. I think the prodigy billionaire kid, I think he's gonna get taken over by that eyeball. I think it's gonna
I
get him. It's so poetic. It's like he's obsessed with it. He thinks he's so smart and he wants to have an interesting conversation. He's gonna get merged with that fucking smart eyeball.
Oh yeah, that's absolutely coming. It's
Mm-hmm.
unavoidable.
Yeah.
Yeah, good prediction. We've also restarted just kind of a rewatch of Succession,
Mm-hmm.
just kind of in the background, and it's that show is so good. I love Succession. It's just
Yeah.
it was hard to stay away from it. But the only other thing that I've watched lately that was new for me
Mm-hmm.
was this movie called Zola,
Okay.
which is I just want to get the synopsis right for all of our listeners because it is a fascinating movie. It's really short. Um, it was made in 2020, and it's basically a story that's based on a real life Twitter thread.
Oh, you were telling me about this. Yeah.
Yeah, where this person was recounting like this crazy experience that she had, and basically all the details are like basically the same. Some things have been changed, but Zola,
Mm-hmm.
she's this waitress who meets this other girl and then kind of is like, oh, you should come down for a weekend to Florida for some stripping and some quick cash, and then it just becomes a whole weekend of just like crazy escapades, just like the
Mm-hmm.
most outlandish characters, just nefarious. There's pimping, there's just lots of weird stuff going on in it. I really liked it. I think it's a lot of fun. So I definitely recommend it. It's an interesting story, and it actually happened. So
Yeah.
can't say that about everything you watch. What about you, Dylan? What have you been up to?
So continuing on with The Man in the High Castle, I'm almost done with the book. Probably have about 40 pages or so left. It's so interesting, dude.
Yeah, right.
It's such a and it's interesting too because it's I think the show is a very loose adaptation and maybe more dealing with like potential regime toppling stuff. But I don't know. I'm gonna watch the show later on, I think. But this is so interesting because it's like smaller scale stories happening within this world, and it's years after the loss of World War II, and most of the characters are just
Mm-hmm.
kind of like resigned to it. Like people aren't really fighting back or
Yeah,
resisting in any real way, and they're just kind of like, and they'll just casually like talk about some horrible shit the Nazis did, where they, and it's like, oh, okay, you're just, yeah, all right, you're just gonna go to work.
it's like,
I,
what can I do about it? It happened.
yeah, like okay, but it's realistic in that way too, because people are like half a generation or a generation removed from a war. They don't think about it in their day to day. They just move on
Yeah.
with their existence. Which is, maybe a disappointing aspect about us as a species.
Yeah,
But
a little bit. We forget really
yeah.
quickly.
Mm-hmm. But also I started the new season of Gen V this
Oh,
weekend. It's back for its second season. It's very much like slotting itself in between season 4 and the final season of The Boys. Like, the they were. Have you watched the first season? I forget.
I started it. I didn't finish it. I need to go back and
Okay.
finish it.
Yeah, it's yeah. I like it. I like it. It's I don't like it as much as The Boys. And I do think I was listening to the Weekly Planet this morning talk about it, and I do agree that The Boys franchise started in such a different era, um, where it was like peak of the MCU and the sort
Yeah.
of cynical, almost hateful nature of The Boys' portrayal of superheroes was kind of like a breath of fresh air. And this is
Hmm.
not a knock on either Gen V or The Boys. I really like both shows, but the culture has changed, and now the breath of fresh air is like Superman, hopeful and earnest, and
Yeah.
and and this is just like, oh, it's so mean, it's so awful.
Yeah. Everyone's so shitty in those shows.
Mm-hmm. But it's good. I like it. Also, like you, continuing with Alien Earth, I'm excited to finish that up. Depending, maybe we'll talk about it on the show. If it fits in time wise, maybe we'll do a mini review next time.
Yeah,
If
maybe.
nothing else. I also watched K-pop Demon Hunters on Netflix.
Oh, really?
Delightful. It's a great movie, and the songs are
Cool.
so catchy. Basically, the premise is like demons are always trying to break through to Earth, and there's this order of people who, like, through music, keep this like fold in place, basically, that keeps the demons at bay. And the current
Hmm.
iteration of these people are these three girls who are a K-pop trio, and and then the demon's latest plan is to one of the demons is like, I know how to get us through. I'm gonna compete with them and make a boy band. And then they go up to the surface. It's great. It's really, really good.
Okay. I'm into that. That's fun.
Yeah, it's fun. The animation's good, and there's more going on that I'm not spoiling, obviously. And other things. I finished the latest season of Star Trek: Strange New Worlds. I I've talked about it before on the show, and I think my feelings remain kind of the same. Like, I like the show. I enjoy watching it. I wish it skewed a little bit less in the silly direction. Like,
Mm.
it's it's too silly at too high a percentage of the time for the episode count. Like, I wish there was more. There were just more like thinking episodes. There are some good shoot 'em up
Mm.
episodes, and then there's some funny episodes, and that's kind of it. And I just wish there was like a little bit better balance. But it's a good show. The cast is a lot of fun. The set design and the costume design is great. You're starting to see like more and more of the original series Enterprise crew sort of enter the show,
Mm.
which is fun. Like, Kirk was introduced last season. Scotty's been introduced this season, and you get to see like Kirk and Spock kind of have their first adventure together. You see Kirk and Scotty kind of becoming buddies. And Uhura's one of the main characters on the show too, and Nurse Chapel as well, which
Cool.
they're also, so that part of it's really fun. You get this like, it's like you can sort of start to see it building towards the old show.
That's fun.
Yeah. Also finished Dan to Dan's latest season. Fun anime. I like it. It's just really good time to watch. It's so weird.
Okay, cool. Yeah, you talked about it before. I need to check that out.
Hmm. Yeah. The latest arc was they end up they're like fighting a kaiju that just appears. And they turn one of the main characters' houses into a mech, like a mech that they all control together,
Hmm.
but they accidentally make it into a Buddha shape, and they don't know how to
Okay.
work it properly.
All right.
It's fun,
That's a cool
and
premise.
yeah, and Only Murders in the Building is back for another season, so I started that. I love that show. It's just such a fun, like, cozy watch.
Right
It's
on.
nice. It's so rare in this era of TV. It comes back every year for another season.
Yay! Another murder in the building.
Yeah. No, it is. It is funny, like, because they comment on that in the show at this point.
Hmm.
It's like they're There's so many murders in this fucking building.
This place is not safe for us. We should not live here.
Yeah. Also, the new season of Peacemaker. I'm up to date on that. It's great. It's a little less, I would say, like less plot heavy than the first season is. It's very character driven. They don't do a lot, but it's
okay.
It's good character stuff. Michael Rooker is in this season.
Oh yeah, that guy.
Yeah, and he's been in he was in the Suicide Squad, James Gunn's Suicide Squad, as a different character,
Right.
but he plays oh my god, it's so awful. He plays like an eagle hunter, and he very he very clearly is like appropriating what he thinks at least is Native American culture, and Economos is talking to him. It's like, dude, it seems like you're just like stealing a lot of Native American culture, and he's like, no, you don't understand.
Okay, I'm into it. All right, I need to check that out.
It's really funny. And Rick Flag Senior is like the head of Argus now, and he's in the Superman movie. He's Frank Grillo's character in Superman, but he hates Peacemaker because Peacemaker killed his son, right, in the Suicide Squad. So there's like that angle going on, which is kind of fun. And then the last thing I did, I watched Eddington, the latest Ari Aster movie with Joaquin Phoenix and Pedro Pascal, Emma Stone. Austin Butler is in there as well.
Oh man,
it's really neat. It's so weird, and it's set during May of 2020. Some of you may remember a thing that was happening back then, and we follow our main character, Joaquin Phoenix. He's like the sheriff of the small town. Pedro Pascal is the mayor, and Joaquin Phoenix is like he's an anti-masker. He's kind of a dick about it. And he's like, look, it's bad. Like, the disease is bad, but it's not here. It's not in our town. Like, this social distancing stuff is bullshit. It's like, be nice to your neighbors just because they don't want to wear a mask. Like, he can't breathe. And it's like, oh my God. I remember so much of this shit. It was awful.
Yeah, I remember those days. Oh, God.
Yeah, but it's like, it's showing like the humanity in a lot of bad and shallow people as well in interesting ways. It's like there's like a bit about Black Lives Matter is happening around this time as well. Some of the young kids in the town want to protest and sort of stand up against injustice, but you have some other people who are like, maybe they're just tagging along this movement because they think the girl in charge of it is hot and they want to get laid. So there's like the sort of like performative opportunism of some like activists. You get then there's like an AI data center company that wants to make a data center in Eddington.
Oh man, there's a lot of stuff going on in that movie.
Yeah, and God, there was one like funny part when the Black Lives Matter protests are just starting in the town. Like the sheriff's department gets called in, and then they don't know about the George Floyd murder yet. So Joaquin Phoenix is like, what are you talking? What is happening? And he just has no idea what's going on.
Why is everyone so angry? I don't get it.
Yeah, but it's a really interesting movie, and it goes places. I won't say. I won't elaborate, but it gets insane by the end of it.
All right, maybe I'll check that out.
Yeah, I think you would enjoy it, but I think that's gonna do it for us this week on the show. We'll be back in 2 weeks, and we're gonna talk about the new Paul Thomas Anderson movie, One Battle After Another. I'm really excited. It's getting really, really good buzz, and I mean, it's Paul Thomas Anderson.
That's what I've seen too. Yeah, some really good reviews. So excited for that.
Cooper Hoffman was the star of his last movie. I think it was his last movie, Licorice Pizza.
Oh, I think I heard about that.
It's a good movie. It's really, really great. But yeah, Niles, until our next episode, where can people find you on the internet?
You can follow me on Instagram at Niles Got No Styles. But what about you, Dylan? Where can people follow you online?
You can follow me on Instagram at DylanD1026, on Twitter at DDayMovies, on YouTube at DDayMovies. You can find both of us here at Play Pause Rewind, both on YouTube and your podcast platform of choice. We also have a second YouTube channel, Play Pause Rewind Videos, where we post occasionally non-podcast stuff like our series Rewind. We also have a TikTok, all that other fun stuff. It's all linked in the description below. Thank you very much for watching and listening. We will see y'all
Thank you.
next time. Goodbye.
Bye.